And now let's shift to sports and have some fun. First of all, I want to get this out of the way because it's on the table with the Joint Powers Authority, which you sat on, and in fact, that reminds me of a situation regarding the Air Quality Management Board. I'll get back to it in a little bit, but I want to get this out of the way right up front. What's your position on the extension of the Raider lease?
So, as I'm not currently on the Joint Powers Authority, I was last term, but that gets reset each term. So currently that is Councilmembers Reed and McElhaney.
Right.
So I haven't been involved in the nuts and bolts negotiation of the lease. But what I have been talking with folks both in the community and the elected officials about is a proposal that's been brought to us to take some action regarding the harms and costs to the taxpayers of the way the NFL relocation is being handled. Mm-hmm. And I am supportive of that effort. I do think that we should do what we can to protect the public interest. And there are some attorneys that have offered to do it on a contingency basis, so, no money out of taxpayer pockets. And I think that that is a really interesting and valuable channel that we should be investigating.
Wow. Hey, so when does this come up for a vote to council?
It has not yet been scheduled. They've been reaching out to us one by one.
Interesting. But would you say, if on a scale of like 1 being 10 being this could happen, where would you say this is on a scale of 1 to 10? Like no, there's 1 being bad, 10 being good.
Oh, it's probably about a 6 or 7.
That's not bad. That's better than I thought you were going to say.
I believe they've been working more closely with Nate Miley on it as well.
Right.
And I've had a briefing. I know they've been contacting other council members and have briefed at least several of them and are hoping to more people about it. And so that is something that's under discussion, and I think it certainly warrants being seriously looked into, especially after the St. Louis matter.
So you've met with Ray Bobbitt then?
Yes.
What do you think of Ray?
And his team.
What do you think of Ray?
Oh, he's great. He's great and very dedicated and very energized around these issues.
If it came to pass that the Raiders deal in Las Vegas fell apart, and because they couldn't afford to build the stadium they're trying to build, how would you feel about restarting the plan to build a stadium at the Coliseum for the Raiders?
Well, I would try hard to make any such decision not based primarily on feelings, but based primarily on the deal terms. Mm-hmm. And if that were to happen, I would evaluate the deal terms on their own merits. And if the deal was financially good for the people of Oakland, then that's fine. And if it's not, then it's not fine.
So you're willing to make a deal. You're not going to say, forget it. You're willing to say, hey, let's make a deal. You'll be one of the Monty Halls, right? Because you'll be the mayor.
Exactly. Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have any feelings about it. I'm not saying that, some of their behavior hasn't been unfortunate in terms of how it's disrespected the public here. But what I'm saying is, at any future point, should they or anyone else bring us a proposal for what they'd like to do at the Coliseum site, I would evaluate a proposal from them as I would from anyone else in terms of, okay, what do the people get for it? What are the dollar values? What are the costs? And I would evaluate it on that basis.
Now, turning to the Golden State Warriors, we have a gigantic issue that has been around for some time regarding unpaid bond debts. Where are we with that from your perspective?
Well, yes, I'm very concerned about the threat from the Warriors to not fully pay off the bond debt on the arena. It could be about $40 million potentially that they would be trying to leave the taxpayers on the hook for. And I think that's really unethical. I mean, the people and taxpayers of Oakland and Alameda County stuck with the Warriors through thick and thin and kept showing up year after year and spending money to go to the games, even when they were not everybody's hot new thing. And, to now say, not only are we going to leave, but we're going to leave and stick you with what's left of the bill, just seems totally out of line with the premise of what it means to say you believe in strength in numbers, and not in keeping with the degree to which our community has really supported them through the years. And so I really urge them to drop the case. They've been very loudly bragging about the $1 billion plus that they're spending to build their shiny new facility in San Francisco. And so to be simultaneously in the press bragging about the over $1 billion you're spending while trying to stick a low-income community with the remains of your old bill just seems really inappropriate. And why would they want to do that? I mean, isn't their reputation worth more to them than that? I really encourage them to reconsider.
It does make your blood boil, doesn't it? I mean, it makes my blood boil, okay?
Well, yes, it does. And that's why I sent them a letter asking them to reconsider and expressing why I thought this sort of behavior was unacceptable. And, it's not like they are struggling financially. And they've been rather loud publicly about how much money they have and how much money they're spending. So I think it's really a bad look to be very loudly bragging about how much money you have while saying we're going to take this poor city that is struggling to fund homeless services, to pay to crack down on the illegal dumping and the vital needs of our community, and then to say, well, we're going to stick you with the bill while loudly bragging about how much we're spending in San Francisco. I think it's incredibly inappropriate.
Are we headed to court?
Yeah, well, it is. That is the plan. That it would go, well, technically to arbitration.
Right.
Would be the next step. But I would hope all people of conscience would join me in saying to the Warriors, don't do it. Why are you forcing the public to go hire lawyers to fight you over this amount of money, which means nothing to them? I mean, this would be a rounding error in their cost of their construction of their new facility, and yet they're going to waste the public's time and money and their goodwill to fight to try to get out of paying it. It seems like a really bad choice on their part, and I really encourage them not to do it. And anybody out here who, cares about that to join in urging them not to do it.
Anyone taking this matter to the governor? It seems like the governor should start weighing in on some of these things.
Well, and why does San Francisco want to brag, hey, look, we made this team move from Oakland to San Francisco and, rip off Oakland in the process? I mean, shouldn't San Francisco be above that, too?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. I think you said it better than anybody. And, hey, speaking of investments in San Francisco, what are your thoughts about the Athletics and their pursuit of a ballpark? Is it, Elihu used to say, is it real or is it Memorex? I mean, what do you think is...
Well, I want to thank the A's for their commitment to working in and with Oakland on a new ballpark. I certainly have worked with them and will continue to work with them to get us toward viable and effective solutions that are a win-win for them and for the public. And I think that's totally achievable in Oakland. And I'm glad that they have expressed that commitment. I've met with them on this repeatedly. I know they had, what felt like to them as setbacks, first with the Peralta College and then with BART. But I actually don't think either of those should impede us from getting to a great solution. And there are effective options, both at the Coliseum site, which has land and a pre-cleared EIR, and also, if they want to put in the extra work, it can be made to work at Howard Terminal. So, I think that we absolutely have great pathways forward, potentially with the A's.
Hey, what do you think of the new point person for the project that was hired on to essentially replace Claudia Capio?
Well, Claudia was working so hard on so many things. It sure will be hard to replace all of what she brought and did, but I'm glad that somebody new has been hired, and I look forward, to continuing that work. And I have been in the interim still, continuing to meet with the A's and talk through different options with them.
Oh.
And, I think that it absolutely is viable, and I think it could be viable either at Howard Terminal or at the Coliseum. So I think, there's no reason it shouldn't be able to succeed. And I've really encouraged the A's to move forward, from that attitude.
So riddle me this: are the A's playing us or not? Here's why I asked the question, and part of it's rhetorical, but here's why I ask. I talked to Dave Cavall, the A's president, about this at the Fan Fest off camera, and I was saying, hey, you know what? If you had called me, I'd have told you not to mess around with Peralta, because we were there in 2001, and but there seems like
I know,
they're picking on things that you and I both know are not going to work. Like, Bart, come on, why are they picking on these? It seems like these straw person actions. Is it to say, hey, we did this and therefore we're out of here? Are they building a case, or are they sincere? What do you say?
Well, I certainly think that it's reasonable that it could look that way. And the fact that they started with the least likely to succeed options, I think has certainly contributed to people feeling like maybe they're not serious. Mm-hmm. And, I can't speak for them, and I don't know what their internal discussions or internal thought processes are. But certainly, it's hard not to worry about that possibility. Like, are they just picking the least possible options in order to be able to say, see, we tried it in Oakland and now we want permission to leave? Mm-hmm. But, I think that if they were to go forward with that, we would be able to show that that was not true. If they were to say, okay, now we're done. We tried Peralta, and Bart said, no, we're not going to spend $4 billion building a brand new BART station just for you. So we give up, right?
Right.
Then I think everybody would see that that had been done in bad faith. So I think the proof will be in what they do next. So given that Peralta said no, as I think many could have predicted that wouldn't work, and that Bart said what I think we all would have predicted Bart would have said, what do they do now? And if now they really buckle down and get serious about coming forward with a viable plan for Howard Terminal or the Coliseum, or continue to explore both of those, then, then we should work in good faith with them on that.
Hey, Rebecca, we're on with Oakland Councilmember At-Large Councilmember Rebecca Kaplan. How much time do I have you for before